Welcome to the MLB DFS Quick Hit for June the 26th. Today we're going to be talking about how to determine your MME stack exposure percentage. And I think that this one becomes pretty simple. Again, to reiterate, no hard and fast rules typically in DFS. But for the stack percentage, it really is going to start with determining how big your slate size is. Anything that is a normal slate, so I would say 8 games and above, I try to keep a max of about 20%. And going back to the video from yesterday, that's because we want to try to have our exposure fairly widespread because we're trying to hit that, one big lineup to win a bunch of money. So 15, 20% is about usually where I sit for either 20 max, 150 max. When we get into the smaller slates, I try not to go I try not to go higher than about 25%. So you really just got to look and see how many games are on the slate and go from there. As far as picks for today, let's see here. We get into the pitching. And the pitching, we're going to be at the high end today because we've got a couple of pitchers who are pretty safe, have a pretty high ceiling, and have really good matchups. So we're going to need to save money today on our stacks because pitching is going to be expensive. I'm looking at Shane McClanahan today going up against the Pittsburgh Pirates. Great pitcher, great matchup. And same thing, I got Dylan Cease, Chicago White Sox, going up against the Baltimore Orioles. I think those guys are primed to have 2 big days, but you're going to have to save some money on your stacks or your one-offs, or maybe even both to make that work. But it's definitely doable. As far as hitters today, I'm focusing on 2 guys from teams that are going to be high on my stack exposure list. These are guys that have team run totals over 5 again. I've got Adolis Garcia going up against Washington Nationals. He's actually going up against a pitcher that even I have never heard of before, so that's got to be good news. And then I like Alejandro Kirk. He's at Milwaukee today. He's going up against a pitcher that we've all heard of, but is terrible, Chichi Gonzalez. So I'm expecting a lot of things out of both of those hitters. Granted, they're a little bit more expensive, but those would be guys that I would highly suggest, you build your stack around. And, on DraftKings, you're going 5-mans. On FanDuel, you're going 4. So make sure that those guys are one of those guys in your stack. And then, keep in mind, we're looking at a maximum of 1 gap in the lineup. So just make sure that you include those guys when you use those teams. But I appreciate you tuning in, and we will see you tomorrow.